Hello. Yeah, it's me. I'm filming right now. It's not? What the? Is your camera Netflix approved? It should be, or should it? I've seen some discussions about this with lots of different opinions, so I decided to make a video about it. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, there's this online streaming service called Netflix. Yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know what to tell you. Netflix has some camera requirements, and a lot of people have questions about what that actually means and what cameras are actually approved. So if you're in this situation, what can you do? Well, I have an idea. Netflix approved cameras. And here we go. Approved cameras. That took about 5 seconds. Sometimes Google is your best friend. Even with this document, there still seems to be some confusion or misinformation. So let's take a look and see what we can find out and if you should be concerned with these requirements. Let's click on frequently asked questions and then originals. We can see the second question is exactly what we're looking for. Why does Netflix require 4K on Netflix originals? Let's click on it, and to briefly state what they're saying, Netflix wants to future-proof their content by filming natively in 4K. Cool. The two words that stand out when you look through this information is Netflix originals. That's something you should know right away. These requirements are for Netflix originals. Netflix originals. Unless you're sitting at the table with Netflix about your screenplay they want a green light, then you don't have to worry about these requirements. That's why you'll see plenty of content on their site that doesn't meet these requirements. A Netflix original production will be something like Ozark. And if we hop over to IMDb Pro and under technical details, you can see it was shot on the Panasonic VariCam 35, which is on our list of Netflix approved cameras. If you want another example, let's look at Triple Frontier. On IMDb Pro, the camera used for production was the Arri Alexa 65, and under approved cameras, it's also on the list. Now some people might claim, well, I know they use certain cameras not on the list for drone shots or crash cams. Narcos, also a Netflix original, would be a good example of what I'm talking about. IMDb Pro says the Panasonic GH4, which is not on our list, was used for drone footage. Now if we go back to our frequently asked questions page, let's click on what kind of secondary camera can I use? To sum this up, cameras not on the approved list may be used if these shots make up 10% or less of the final cut. So if you were wondering, there's your answer. Now this brings me to the GH5 and GH5S, which is a camera I use on a regular basis. Some people have claimed it's approved, maybe for a drone or a crash cam, but as the primary camera, why would someone think that? Let's have a look. For Panasonic cameras, we have 5, and we already talked about the VariCam 35, but where's the GH5 or S? Let's scroll down to capture requirements, and I want you to look right here at Vlog. You might say, oh, well the GH5 and S can do that. Not quite. They can do Vlog L, not Vlog. The cameras under Panasonic can all do Vlog. So according to this, that would tell me that GH5 and S aren't approved cameras. But having said that, this can all change tomorrow. Netflix could come out with an updated list with different requirements, and the camera that you love so much can be on that list. What you have to ask yourself though is, does it really change anything? If your camera's on the list tomorrow, does it make a difference? Remember, these are for Netflix originals. If that's not you, you could shoot on whatever camera you want. That's why they have a section for original content and licensed content. For cameras that aren't on the list that meet these specs, if Netflix wants to produce your project, you'll have plenty of time to discuss it with them before production starts. I also want to bring up the Alexa Mini, because that seems to be a hot topic for approved cameras. So where could we go for an answer? Frequently asked questions. Here's some Arri cameras, including the Mini. Now this answers the camera question and what I talked about earlier. Quote, the Arri Alexa XT, SXT, Mini, and Amira are fantastic cameras, as we stream plenty of content that was captured with these cameras. However, since these cameras do not have true 4K sensors, we cannot accept them for our 4K original productions. I think that's a great answer about camera requirements and who it actually affects. I also wanted to mention a couple articles. YM Cinema Magazine chose 44 random films from Sundance 2019, and the Alexa Mini was the dominant choice. No Film School also had a graphic showing the Arri dominance, with the majority being minis as well. For a camera that's not Netflix approved, why are all these films using it? It's because they're not concerned with approved cameras. Like I said, they're not a Netflix original, but I'm sure some of these films will end up on Netflix. They're choosing a camera based on their production needs, and you should too, whether that's a Mini, a GH5, or your phone. If you do find yourself at the table with Netflix and they say no to your camera request, you can always turn down the deal. Can you imagine? Speaking of Sundance, let me give you a suggestion. If you're shooting a film, I would definitely check out the film festivals you plan on submitting to. That would be a good idea. So let's actually take a look at Sundance. There's a lot of info here, but they basically accept DCP, which is a digital cinema package, or 35mm film prints. If you don't know what a DCP is and you want your project to end up at a festival, you need to do your research because this is becoming very common, especially at bigger festivals. I know I just gave you a lot of info, but the one thing I want you to walk away with is, if you have a question, you need the right information, I love to help, but if you want to take control of your filmmaking career, you need to do your research. Take advantage of the information available to you and come to your own conclusions on the subject. For me, I'm not worried about Netflix approved cameras, but it is an interesting topic. Well, there you have it. Is your camera Netflix approved? Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit that like button because there's definitely more on the way. Subscribe so you don't miss out. But until then, comment below and let me know if this list keeps you up at night. And as for this episode, it's a wrap.